Hello, Aran.
How you doing, Rick? You right?
I'm all right. What about you?
Yep, here we are in the trenches again.
In the trenches. And we're going to do something slightly different today. The last
Yep,
few sessions, we've had three games that you played recently, and you were I have to commend you for sending in losses. Many of my students only want to show me their wins, but you learn a lot more from losses than from wins. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to do three things. We're going to look at Legals Mate, very famous opening trap. We'll do that a bit later. We're going to look at a checklist. Aaron asked for a checklist of things to look out for when you're playing a game.
yep,
I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And we just played, before we had this training session, we played a game against each other on chess.com. And we're starting with that, going over that game. So let me share my screen and we get it on the
yeah.
board.
And then my motive for this is it's obviously to see what I could do, but it's to think about what what you think at your level, Rick, with your experience. What actually are you thinking when you go through these moves? I wanted to have an insight into your mind, to be honest, as well.
Yeah, well, exactly. We can do both. We look at your mind and my mind and how they come together. We can compare notes of what we saw during the game. And yeah, so it's I've done it before with students, but it's been a while. And let's see how we get
Yeah,
on if you get value
yeah,
from it. So it was a 10-minute game on chess.com, and it was played on the 10th of December 2023. And you had the white pieces, so we'll look at it from your perspective. And you opened with the e pawn, which you always do. Bobby Fischer says it's best by test, so that's a good move. And I played the Sicilian. I know most of your opponents play e5 at your level, but I thought let's play the Sicilian, which you also get on the board sometimes.
yep,
And you play knight f3. That can never be a bad move. Developing a piece towards the center, getting an influence in the center. That knight f3 is always a good move, and that's why it's the most played move in this position. There's many moves that black can play. I played e6, and you said I'm gonna grab the center. I took in the center and knight takes. So that's the whole point of the Sicilian, is that black says I've traded the c pawn for a d pawn, and black claims that's a little success for black because you've claimed a pawn that's not in the center versus a pawn that's in the center. And white
yeah.
says, okay, that's fine, but I've got a piece already in the center and you've only moved one pawn. So
My
it's all.
mind Yeah, my mindset here, Rick, was I thought, do I take with the queen because it covers more squares? But then I thought, because I don't want to move the same piece twice either. Like that's a bit of a fundamental. So which one is it? Do I move with the queen? But then obviously there's other pieces, minor pieces to be developed versus moving the same piece twice. Took a little bit of time, so I just moved the same piece twice and took with the knight. Where do you? What category does that move fall under? Would you say?
Yeah, very good that you thought about it. Queen takes is a move. It has been played many times before. It's knight takes. Taking with the knight is seen as a better move. Of course, black also has played with the same piece twice. He's played c5 and c takes d4. So it's not that you fall a move behind because you both played with the same piece twice. And the drawback of taking with the queen is that the queen is not really safe there. It gets straight away kicked with knight c6, which is a move that black wants to make anyway. Attacking the queen has to go somewhere, and you have to play with the queen twice. So it's that's why knight takes, which you played, is the
Better
is the
move.
better move.
Brilliant.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but good that you thought about it. Well, here the main move, I looked it up after our game. The main move here is a6. Why do you think this is the main move, which is played by the grandmasters? What does that move do?
Is it to prepare a rook lift?
No, doesn't prepare a rook lift. Rook
Oh,
lift to
is it? Oh,
a7.
yeah. Is it? Yeah. Is it to stop my bishop on f1 pinning?
Yeah, not so much pinning, but yeah, it stops all sorts of pieces coming to b5, and that because that can sometimes be annoying. All those three pieces could, if in some lines, come to b5, and especially if you play the d pawn up, then that can be a bit annoying. It might be check or there might be a pin, as you say. So a6 is really to take control of the b5 square and make sure no white piece will end up there anytime soon.
Yeah. And I think my reply there was a bit of a 400 elo response there because you made that move. I still sometimes look at, oh well, what's them four squares around that? What can that do rather than the a plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, because your initial rook lift, of course, rook does not really want to go to a7. It's not doing anything there.
Yeah,
So it's all about the b5 square, plus the fact that maybe black wants to play b5 himself and then put that bishop on b7 on a nice diagonal.
yeah,
So that's the reason that a6 is the main move. I didn't play it though. I just looked it up. I played another move, which is knight c6, which is also, can never be wrong. It's bringing a piece into the game towards the center. So how can that be a bad move? It's not.
yeah.
You developed the bishop.
Now, I did think about taking the knight on c6 because I thought, just to look at it, what would be the reputation of it? Well, if he takes back, it doesn't double your pawn, so I didn't. Now, in some cases, if I can result in doubling your pawns, I probably would have took it.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. It's still a move. It's still, I'm just looking it up here in my database. It has been played at grandmaster level. So knight takes c6 is definitely an option. How would you recapture if you were black?
Towards the center, so with the b7.
Yeah, exactly. The b takes c6 has played 1,200 times in my database, and d takes c6 only 24 times. So everybody agrees with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely an option. And yeah, instead of that, you develop a piece, which is, I'm always happy when you develop your pieces. You know that. So that's a good move. I also developed knight f6, and yeah, I, in the meantime, attack an unprotected piece, pawn. Knight pawn e4 is now attacked by my knight. And you
Oh, I
played
should have
bishop.
played knight c3 here.
Yeah, knight c3 is something that is an option. You play bishop d3, which is also protecting the pawn and developing a piece. So I'm happy with both. There is a saying though, knights before bishops. I'm not sure if that ever mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
It's one of these things. It doesn't always apply, but I guess black does that here. Black plays knights before bishops. You put the knights almost always go to f6 and c6, and you're not sure yet where the bishops go. And that's why they say knights before bishops, because it's easier to determine where the knights want to be developed to, and the bishops is not. It depends really on the position. So that's why knight c3 here. Yeah, that follows the knights before bishops principle. It also protects the pawn, and yeah, that's what that's about. The drawback is, you play bishop d3. The advantage is you could also still play your c pawn up. The knight is not in the way yet, so you give yourself an extra option. So I'm happy with bishop d3.
Yeah.
And now I thought I'd play d5, try to get pawn in the center as well. So that's also fine. And you took it. You don't have to, but it's fine. Of course, your e4 pawn is attacked twice and only defended once. So
I saw that, and I noticed that. I'm happy with that.
So you can play knight c3 to protect it one more time. But also you can take. That's also a way to solve that problem, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm happy that I saw that attackers versus defenders is one of my weaker areas, but I've been getting better at that. So I'm happy I saw that.
Yeah, I'm also happy you saw that. And and one way to solve a problem with defenders versus attackers is to capture, and that's what you did. Trade off. I thought about taking with the pawn. I took with the knight, but taking with the pawn. What do you think of this move?
Well, it exposes the file to the king.
It's what, sorry?
Exposes the file with the king on the e8.
Yeah, that is true. And okay, let's put it on the board. Do you think that's a big problem for black, that the e file is now open?
Well, I just think, no, there's no immediate danger. If I castle, yes, then he, promotes his bishop on f8. His next move is castle, so there's no immediate danger. But just think it exposes right now.
Black wants to exactly, and you're right. It does. E takes d5 exposes the king somewhat, and if there was a rook on e1, for example, instead of a king, then that is trouble, or that could be dangerous. But white is, castling and then rook e1 away from ever causing trouble on the e file, and by that time this king will be on g8 already. So it exposes the e file, but it's in this case white cannot really make use of it because his king is also in the center.
Yeah.
What else can you say about e takes d5, apart from exposing the king? Any other observations of that move, which is playable? There are two more things I'm looking for.
Wow.
Quite advanced things, but just want you to have a look at the position.
Right. So in my mind, I'm going through checks, just because that's first on the checklist. Checks, no. Captures. I could take the knight and then takes back. Does that mean anything? No. Uh, is there anything else? I don't know, Rick, to be honest.
Okay, no, it's quite an advanced thing. I just wanted you to think before I tell you, because then it makes more sense when you hear it. So there's no tactics, but there are some positional implications of that move. One of the implications is that this is a very lonely pawn. It doesn't have any friends besides it. We call it an isolated pawn. And isolated pawns can become weak. Pawns like to be together so that they protect each other and form a little front. So even though it's not immediately under attack by any means, but it can become later a bit of a target for white to play against, because that pawn cannot be defended by other pawns. The advantage, though, for black is that if he plays with a pawn, that this bishop is happier, because this bishop suddenly has a diagonal, because the pawn on e6 is no longer there. So it's a bit of a trade-off. The pawn can be weak, but the bishop is a happier piece, and that's why e takes d5 is an option. Those are the two things.
Yeah, that makes sense, of course.
Yeah, but I thought about it, but I decided to take with the knight to not get an isolated pawn, and I thought later I'll get that bishop on c8 into the game. There's no immediate reason. It's just a matter of taste. You played bishop b5. Yeah, it's okay. Move's okay, but I'm not jumping with joy with bishop b5. And why is that, Aran?
Played with the same piece twice.
Yep. Because
what
is a better move or more logical move?
Knight to c3.
Exactly. Get your pieces into the game. Develop your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, when you play that, you have to evaluate what happens if he takes on c3, and I'll have to take with the pawn, and I have doubled isolated pawns. Am I happy with that? Well, maybe not, or maybe. So these are things you have to look at. But so from that point of view, maybe bishop b5 is better. If you say I didn't play knight c3 because I didn't like my doubled pawns, then I'd say okay. But I'm not sure if you looked at knight c3 or knight. You can also play knight d2. This is also a move. If you don't want your pawns to be doubled, you still get your piece into the game. But okay, bishop b5 is not a bad move. It's I'm just showing you the alternative. Well, you pin the knight, which is always good to pin your opponent's pieces, and not only you pin the knight, it's only it's attacked twice now and only defended once. So you threaten to take and take again and win a pawn and expose my king. So you have a bit of a threat with bishop b5. And also that's why black a few moves ago wanted to play a6 to make sure nothing ends up on b5, because it's a bit annoying. But it's not a disaster. I play bishop d7, bring that bishop more or less in the game. It's not really happy on d7, love to have a bit more exposure or a bit more range, but it's not a bad piece. And at least it's protecting the knight and breaking the pin, so it's doing something useful. You castled, happy days, and I prepared to castle with bishop e7. I didn't know where that bishop wanted to go. I just put it on e7, but maybe another square is better. And you played knight d2, developing your last piece.
Yeah.
And I castled, so we both castled, and we all have our pieces into the game. The position is about equal, and we don't have any weaknesses, no pawn weaknesses. The kings are safe enough, and everything is okay. But now, when everything's developed, the most difficult part starts. What do you do next? All my pieces are in the game. What do we do next? And you played queen h5.
Yeah.
going after my king, and that's always, and nobody likes that. It's always a bit scary when your opponent's queen is close to your king.
Yeah.
And I thought actually, it. So I took some time here. You may have noticed I really looked around and made sure that I wasn't going to get checkmated anytime soon.
Yeah.
What is or that the threats. You really, when somebody attacks your king, it's really time to take some time, calm down, not be afraid of that queen close to your king, and see what's going on. And I saw that tactically it doesn't really work. Queen h5.
Yeah.
And because I took on d4.
I should have captured back here.
Yeah, you should have. But okay, but let's look at it. This is tactically quite complex. So you should have recaptured. So what's the move here that you're consider?
Bishop takes d4.
Okay, and why is that not a good move? Because what does black play here?
Oh yeah, because I've got a piece, and I b5's hanging.
b5's hanging, exactly, and
Right.
black has won a piece. So,
But here, can I play pawn to c4?
very nice. Yes, you can indeed. Forking two pieces, and I cannot take it because it's protected by the knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but black can get out of trouble. He doesn't lose a piece here. What can black play to get out of trouble?
Is there a forcing move?
There's an in-between move he's going to save both pieces. He's going to first save the knight. Where does the knight go?
The knight can go. It can go to f4.
F4, for example, or f6, and you don't have time to take the bishop because
there's a bigger threat. My queen's under attack.
Yeah, so you have to save your queen.
And then he saves his bishop. And this is the thing, right, Rick? When I am on the other end of that fork, I look for a forcing move. So I said that straight away, forcing move. Is there a check? No. Can I make a bigger threat? Yes. And that's how I get out of it. So although viewers and yourself, like you've seen my development, so not quite you there, but I'm very proud that I was able to think out. I thought that 6 months ago I would have gone, oh, queen a8,
Yeah.
But there I thought it all through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, and by the way, before viewers put in any comments that because the queen can take the bishop,
Yeah.
of course, but yeah, you can. But then unfortunately, this guy is hanging as well. So
Yeah.
so then black wins a piece after all. So
Yeah.
very good. So queen h5 doesn't work because the knight takes d4, because if you recapture, then your bishop is hanging, and even c4 doesn't work, as we just saw. So.
Yeah.
But okay, so this is a complicated tactic. So knight takes d4. You cannot recapture because your bishop is hanging. But can you take on d7 as an in-between move yourself? So you take there to make sure you don't lose that bishop. So you don't recapture the piece that was just taken, but you take another piece.
Yeah, I thought that after.
Okay. So how would this continue? So we both took a piece, so materials equal. Is white out of trouble? Because if I recapture, you recapture, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you even?
That's even. But so this is quite a complex. So let's play it again. Queen h5, knight takes d4, and because the bishop on b5 is hanging, you play bishop takes d7 first. But black does not have to take back on d7. He can play knight takes c2 and win at least a pawn.
Yeah.
Well, difficult tactic. So we don't have to dwell on this one. This is a difficult tactic. But that's why queen h5 doesn't work, because of knight takes d4. And black wins material.
Yeah.
You didn't. You played quite quickly bishop d3. So you didn't really consider the options of bishop takes d4 or bishop takes d7. You thought, I'm attacking his king, and I'll keep attacking his king. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you've given up a full piece. So it has to work, because if it doesn't work, if it's not checkmate, or if you don't win a piece back straight away, you're a piece down and you're in big trouble. And yeah, I promise you and promise myself I would not talk to you about time management anymore, because we didn't really get anywhere with that. But playing bishop d3 after 10 seconds or so is a big, big, big decision.
Hmm.
I'll leave it at that. Because now all I have to make sure is I don't get checkmated, and then I'm a piece up, and I'm really happy, you know?
Yeah.
So I play g6 because queen takes h7 is a big, big threat. And, I don't want that to land on my doorstep. The game will be over. But I play g6, kicking your queen, and you still don't have time to take on d4 because your queen is kicked. Queen e5. And I thought, let's kick your queen again and improve my piece at the same time. Play bishop f6, protecting this guy and attacking your queen again. So that's of course ideal if you can improve your pieces at with tempo, because you're attacking something of high value in your opponent's camp, and then you gain even more time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to play your queen again. You play to g3. The checkmate threats are gone. There's no more checkmate threats, and I've won a piece. So I just have to make sure that I realize this guy is still hanging after a few moves. So I need to, because now you threaten to take it. So I played knight f5. Oh,
And
sorry.
here, with the rook being on A1, would you say it's fair that I haven't had time to develop it yet because I've been reacting to things in the middle?
Yes, because exactly. There was lots of stuff happening. There was a lot of tactics. So indeed, also black's rooks is on a8. So indeed, there's no that's okay. But it's a very good question, because if we go back to move 10 after black has just castled, instead of lashing out queen h5 attacking the king, you could say, well, why don't I play it more calmly and get my rooks in the middle somewhere, e1, d1, c1, maybe put my queen somewhere and then get my rooks in the middle before I start any big attacks against my opponent's king.
Yeah.
It's a more calm way of playing, but queen h5 is a very aggressive way, and it just didn't work out tactically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Knight takes d4, bishop d3, g6, queen e5, bishop f6, queen g3, and I have to save my knight. I play knight f5. And attacking your queen again, and very quickly, and I understand that you said, well, I'm fed up playing my queen all the time. I'm going to now just trade on f5. And I took with the e-pawn. Yes, I have double pawns here. That is not great. I ideally would not have like double pawns. But the good news is for black, another piece was swapped when you're material ahead and I'm a piece up. I'm happy, general, with pieces being swapped. That brings victory closer, even though it's the double pawns. But they're double pawns, but it's still a nice construction around my king, with especially and the dark squared bishop and the pawns on light squares. That's a nice little defensive shield around my king. So I was pretty happy with that. You play bishop h6, and my knee-jerk reaction was to play bishop g7, try to swap another piece. But then I thought, no, I always talk to Aran about getting your pieces into the game. And I thought, my rook is attacked. The E file is a nice open file. Why don't I kill two birds with one stone? I make sure you can't take my rook, and I put my rook on the better square. I improve my rook, so that's why I played that move.
Yeah.
You played c3. Oh yeah, you saw that my bishop was attacking something there. So c3, always good to
Yay.
protect. Yay!
Small success for me. That's what I've got to take at this level, Rick. Small successes.
Yeah, but that's exactly. But that's good. That's good. That's a
I
good
was
one.
going to play rook d1 at first,
Okay, which one?
and
Which
then
rook?
a1,
Okay.
and then I realised that I left a pawn hanging, so I played c3 first.
Yeah. Yeah. No, makes sense. I'm happy with c3. I play bishop c6. I thought that bishop, there's a nice diagonal for the bishop. And also I'm protecting my knight. It's always good to protect your pieces. This knight at the moment is not protected. It's not attacked. So there's no immediate danger, but it's always good to keep your piece protected and working together. And I thought the bishop on c6, protecting the knight, and is a bit happier than it was on d7. There's a bit more of a range there.
And I thought there's going to be some discovered attacks here. You move the knight somewhere, and I thought, could you move it to attack my queen? So I did think that straight away.
Discovered attack. Where is? I don't see a discovered attack.
No, no, not yet. But I thought
Okay.
potentially if you move your knight somewhere, I don't
Yeah.
know, say, do you know what I mean? Like if I move it somewhere, not now, but potentially there may be a discovered. You know, when you see a piece and you see something behind it, you always think there could be a discovered
Yeah.
attack.
Okay. Yeah. And that happened in the end, didn't it? Okay. Yes, but not yet. That's true. Um, for a few seconds, I thought, hey, that knight on d2 is a loose piece. Is that indeed a loose piece?
It is a loose piece, yeah.
Have another look.
Oh, it's defended by the bishop on h6.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that took me a few seconds to realize, because otherwise I thought there might be some tactics against that knight, but it's protected in an unusual way, but it is protected, so it's not loose. Okay, you played c4, kicked my knight, and I thought for a while, my first reaction was to play knight c7, because then I thought I can put it on e6. That's a nice square. And it's probably all right to do that. But in the end, I decided against knight. I played knight b6. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And then you very quickly played c5, and I said, happy days. I can go back to my nice central position where I came from. So
Hold the tension a little.
yeah, well, it's a little success for black. You know, the knight is very nice in the center, and you have made these moves. That pawn is not doing much there. It's not becoming a queen anytime soon. It might be a little bit weak there. And I've played my knight back to that nice square. So, but again, that's quite an advanced concept. I don't think you gained much with your c4, c5 business there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And b2 is hanging again. So you defended it. Rook b1, a b1. And I thought, let's try to get the queens off. Played queen c7. It makes room for my rook. That was the plan. And I would like to trade down. I was hoping you would take on c7 and I recapture with the knight. And the queens are off, which brings, again, me closer to victory because I'm a piece up. And you said, no, thank you. I'm not going to swap the queens because then you shouldn't trade down when you're material behind. You played f4. To make sure the queens didn't get swapped. So that I completely understand. Which white piece is not very happy with your decision to play f4?
Bishop h6.
Yeah. He's cut off, isn't he?
Trapped.
Trapped, well, yeah, trapped by his own pieces. Not that he will be picked up anytime soon, but he's not playing. He's not at the party anymore. He's shut out. And he's there on his own, and he cannot, of course, queen and bishop is a lethal combination sometimes, but not against this pawn formation with the black bishop there as well. The black king is perfectly safe against those two pieces, and here the bishop is just shut out. Okay, you saw that straight away. Well done. I thought, let's improve my last piece, bring my last piece to the party, rook a to d8. Everybody is happy now. All my pieces are really coordinated and quite centralized, and everybody's happy. So just I thought I made that move also just so then I can make the point in our call that all my pieces are happy.
Yeah.
You play b4, and I thought this now it's time to all my pieces are in great positions, and now that discovery I saw some play against g2, and that's why I played knight e3, attacking knight and bishop, attacking this guy with knight and bishop. Plus the fact that this guy that was protected by the bishop is no longer protected by the bishop because we shut the bishop out. So suddenly the knight is hanging because I brought my rook into the game. So you see, when you centralize all your pieces, when all your pieces are happy, suddenly tactical possibilities will arise, and suddenly there's all sorts of stuff that you can do because you've activated your pieces in the most maximum way. Let's say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're in big trouble. Plus, also, of course, I'm attacking your rook. I'm attacking your knight, attacking your rook, attacking the g2 pawn. It's a lot of threats. You decided to save your rook, which I understand. Rook f2 e1. And but yeah, this guy was still hanging. But rook e1 also attacked this guy. What is the attacking versus defender situation with that knight?
The queen and the rook versus the rook.
Yep. So what's a good move here for white?
To take the knight with the
Yeah,
rook.
with the rook. Yeah. Yeah, rook takes e3. And if I recapture, you recapture. Okay, I'm happy again. We swapped some pieces off. I won the knight on d2, but you won the knight on e3.
Did that happen in the game?
Say again?
Did this happen in the game?
No, you didn't take. This was a strange moment. So after rook takes d2, you played king h1. Do you remember why you played that move?
Yeah, because I thought. Can you put it back? Sorry.
So this is the position. I play knight e3, and your last move was rook f2 e1. And then I took your loose knight on d2. This is the position.
Oh, there was a reason. It might not be there now, but that means that it wasn't solid. But I felt there was something that was going to lead. It was going to. Probably nothing now. I've seen ghosts. But
No, I think you did see. I see it now. I think this is a threat, right?
yeah, that was it. And then you can take my queen,
Yeah,
or I
it's a
lose a
fork.
queen.
It's a
Yeah,
rook fork.
that
Yeah,
was it. So I put it on H1 because it bought me a bit of time.
yeah, yeah. The bad news, of course, you just lost a piece. So how does this work actually? Let's go to that line. So rook takes e3, you win the piece back. What
Yeah,
if I then play my threat that you were afraid of? Yeah.
it's I take the rook on E8. Oh
Yeah.
no, can I do that? Yeah, if I take the rook,
Yeah.
you have to take back with the bishop because the checkmate.
For the moment, you're in check, of course. Yeah, I was trying to put it on the board, but the software doesn't allow me because white is in check.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
So I'm losing either way. I'm still losing my queen.
yeah, no, there's no salvation here. You're too much material down. Your king is too unsafe, and black's pieces are all over you. So after rook takes d2, I think the only way because we can look. So let's try to look at it. I know it's complicated, but let's look at it anyway. We looked at rook takes e3 to win the piece back, right? We looked
Yeah.
at that. And what happens then if rook takes g2 here? The move you were afraid of.
I take with the queen.
You take with the queen. And can I now take your queen? That's.
No, checkmate.
Oops. Yeah. And then white has won the game, even though he's the whole board down. Yeah. Well, or at least not. Yeah. Yes. So back to where we were. Rook takes d2. You win the piece back with takes on e3. If I say I'm gonna win your queen on g2, you take, and I cannot recapture because then you win the game. So
Yeah.
what does black play here too? After he has recovered from the scare of being checkmated in one move, he cannot take the queen. What can he do though? What is a good move here for black and not blundermate in one?
To take my rook.
Exactly. Take the rook. And then we do a body count and we see that we're still a piece up.
Yeah.
With black. And your queen is hanging and your king is unsafe, so black is still very happy here. But there was a little scare of mate in ones. He could not be too greedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So complicated lines, but I think you got them all. In the game, you played king h1 because of the rook takes g2 threat, but it meant, of course, that you just lost the second piece, and rook takes g2 came anyway. You save your queen, discovered attack.
Yes.
And now you have to give your queen after all. This is the only legal move. Oh yeah, I took it. So we also have been talking about that you like to give check whenever there is a check. And in this position, after king h1, of course, I could have taken with the bishop on g2, which, by the way, is not a bad move. Bishop takes g2 check.
Yeah.
But here, rook takes g2, it's bringing a threat. The threat is to play the rook away, and then the king is in check anyway by the bishop. So sometimes, and that's also why I took with the rook, to show you that a check is not always the best move. In this case, it would have been a good move, but check in itself is not an achievement unless it's checkmate.
Yeah.
It has to be the best move, and that's really something that I still don't see you do in your games. You give check whenever you have one, and that is an important one to get to the next level. You are now too strong to play like that. That's what 700-800 players do. When I see a check, I'll give one, no matter, without thinking too much. And that is really something that you have to improve on.
Yeah.
Play the best move, and that could be a check, but it also could be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Queen s3, rook check, discover check, queen g2 only move. And again, I did not play with check. I just took the rook, and again, I'm threatening to play the rook away. You played b5. Oh yeah, and I missed. I just checked with the engine. There's a nice mate in 2 here. You're attacking my bishop, and I did save my. I want to keep that bishop. I played bishop e4 and a very nice square, and then you played attack my queen, and I had this discovered checkmate. But the engine pointed out that after b5, I don't have to worry about my bishop. I can checkmate you anyway with rook g3, because if you take my bishop, then how do I mate in 1 here?
Mate in 1. Queen takes c6.
Yeah. Suddenly the queen takes over the task of the bishop. The queen is like a bishop there. And yeah, this also works. So I just saw that. But I play bishop e4 instead, saving that bishop. And then the same thing happened, and the game was over. So, was it useful?
Yeah, definitely, Rick. There was a lot of fundamental things that I could have done. I should have developed everything and not gone out too much with my queen.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I review it, everything will go in order. Cut off my own bishop, attackers versus defenders.
Yeah.
I developed okay at the start. That's my little points, but then it went quickly. I didn't help. If you look after your pieces look after you.
Oh, that's a very nice way to say it. You always say things better than I do, but that's exactly it. It is true, and especially, and I don't want to blow my trumpet. That's not my goal at all of what we're doing here. But if you look at this position after the 21st move, rook a to d8, before all those tactics started, oops, what am I doing? I just want to get rid of the green color. Yeah. This is a dream position for all these black pieces. This is just a lovely picture for black. All his pieces are happy, are playing. The bishop have diagonals. Queen is all right there, and not easy to harass the queen. The rooks are on open files. The king is safe. He's a piece up. Okay, but that's not important here. But the most important thing is, and that's why I put this position on again, is the pieces are happy. Everybody is happy here, and then suddenly good things will happen to you. And that's what you said when. What did you say when the pieces? You look after the pieces. The pieces look after you. So if you can this is a perfect position where black has been able to make all his pieces happy. And that's not always possible. Sometimes your opponent throws stuff at you which makes it impossible to make all your pieces happy. But it's always something you should strive for. And the black position is a picture of health, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this game before we leave it, Aaron?
No, Rick.
Okay.